There you go. Okay, so you want to get started, Sarah?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, welcome back to all of you guys tuning in. It's good to be, first of all, doing this together. I feel so much better. Like, I feel like, because there's always a lag time. So I'm always like, oh my gosh, it's so awkward waiting for her to finish talking and then going back and forth. But, I feel like we're going to be able to just keep on doing this and helping you guys. And, if you guys want to have a specific talk about something, then just let us know. I know she posts it on her YouTube channel, so you can comment on there or even on here on the comments and everything. But right before we get started, I did have just one question prepared for you. I know you just started like your vegan lifestyle and everything. So what is the best food right now, your favorite food of right now? I know you're just getting started, but
if I can choose one vegan thing that I really like, I would say papaya.
Papaya. Okay.
I can eat that all the time, every day, at every time
really,
of the day.
I cannot stand the smell of papaya.
No. A lot of people can't either. Like, they've told me that they don't really, but I love papaya.
Yes, so like my husband loves papaya too, but I'm like, if you're gonna buy it, you're gonna cut it, you're gonna eat it at the moment because I don't want it in my fridge. I can't stand.
And I think I left one of my papayas.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I forgot my papaya. But then I was like, they could just have it because I have a lot. So.
Yeah. So, and then anything like in specific, like a new finding that you discovered now that you
tofu.
Started.
Tofu. Okay. I've learned how to make it taste like beef. I've learned how to make it taste like what is it called? The one that I gave you the other day.
The chicharrones.
It tastes like chicharron. I accidentally burnt it and it tastes like chicharron. So I learned how to do that, and I learned how to make it as egg, like to make it look like and taste kind of like eggs. So that's my new meat, like protein product that I've learned how to eat in my vegan lifestyle. So
yeah, that's I mean, I know like this is like completely different, but obviously we always have like a motivation and reason behind it, and I feel as long as we have that, you've been strong for it and everything, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
It's definitely would be difficult. I mean, it's like going like for completely.
Yeah, no,
like
it's not. It's definitely not easy, but I think you have to have like a certain motivation to continue like eating that way. And I've explained that in my YouTube channel and a video that I just posted. So, but yeah, it's just something that I've decided to do, and it's actually satisfying to be able to control myself because I do want food that everybody else eats, but I've learned how to like tell no to myself. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
But
we can go ahead and get started then.
Yes, we're gonna get started.
Letting go part 2.
Yes, this is part 2. Part 1 is also on my YouTube channel, my music YouTube channel. So basically, we were talking about letting go, and I had told in the last table talks that God had been speaking to me a lot about this even last year. So I wanted to kind of continue that. And to get started, I want you guys to just follow me to Jonah chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. So basically in this part of the verse, it says, one day the Lord told Jonah, the son of Amittai, to go to the great city of Nineveh and say to the people, the Lord has seen your terrible sins, you're doomed. Instead, Jonah ran from the Lord, and he went to the seaport of Joppa and found a ship that was going to Spain. So he paid his fare, and then he got to the ship and sailed away to escape. So he was basically straying away from what God was telling him to do. He didn't want to do it, and we're going to find out why he didn't want to do it at the end of this. But I'm pretty sure most of you guys will know why. But basically, a lot of times God tells us things that we need to do, and we don't like what he's telling us to do. A lot of times this can be even during this time, it got me thinking, like, a lot of times giving financially sometimes can be something that God puts in our hearts that maybe we don't want to do, but God puts it in our hearts to do it. And when you do it, it's like you realize that God was just trying to show you and keep your heart like not loving money and not loving, for yourself only, and yeah, like I think one of the things that God speaks to me specifically, has spoken to me throughout recently, is giving financially, and also giving time to someone. A lot of times we can be so caught up in our own life and doing our own things, and just doing what we want to do, and it can be very hard sometimes to give time to someone, especially if we want to do things for us, and sometimes God tells you, hey, go sit down with that person, or go call that person, or or text that person. Just give them some of your time, and a lot of times we want to ignore that. And I know that God has spoken to me about it, and when I do it, I know that I can just see how God moves when I actually listen to what He's telling me. And also another big one is apologizing. I think apologizing is something that is so hard for us, because we're admitting that we're wrong when we apologize. And I think that a lot of times we just need to learn to just apologize. It's just so easy just to apologize, and it's way easier than not apologizing. I feel like not apologizing when it is your fault, and even if it's not your fault, just apologizing, it just helps the whole situation. If you go the other way around, it worsens the situation. So I think just listening to God in those aspects, I think is very helpful. At least I found that in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I don't know if you have something else you want to add to that.
I mean, just thinking about what you're speaking about right there, it's like, I think one of the best ways that God has taught me is through my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I feel like we all live in different seasons.
Yeah.
So it's like, when we're single, God uses other stuff to teach us. And then we're married, He uses our marriage to teach us. And then we have kids, He uses our kids to teach us. So it's like different seasons that we live in and everything. But especially with sorry, it's obviously like, and it goes so well with letting go, because we have to let go sometimes of, let's say, our pride, because it's like, I might not be wrong, or I might not look at my opinion being wrong, but for you it's wrong. And I have to be able to compromise with you, and then come in and I'm letting go of this for us. So I'm letting go of this. And then even God speaks to you like, oh, well, you don't want to let go of this. Well, maybe this is an area you have to work in.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like marriage is a big mirror for ourselves, as in like how I am in my marriage. That's like, it reflects a lot of who I am.
Yeah.
And God goes in there and like, well, you see that, you see this, you have to work on this and that. So, and even giving time to our spouses, like, it's like sometimes, well, my love language is quality time. So time's not like much of a sacrifice for me. But it's like something that I need. But it's like, for my husband, love language is words of affirmation. So sometimes it's hard for me to come in and be like, affirm him with words and everything. But that's something I have to as well give. And God speaks to me like, hey, you might want to do this more than this, because sometimes we ask and don't give ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it goes either way, like in our lives as well.
Yeah, I actually want to add on to that. What you were saying is, a lot of times we just want, and that's true. I think that even throughout these months, I've learned a lot that just giving, a lot of yourself. I mean, not just to anybody, but just like, before, I think I used to be very closed to friendships. I think just because of past, friendships that were hurtful, that I felt where the friendship was kind of abused a little bit. And this was a long time ago. And I think that I've learned, I would ask, like, why don't I have good close friends, that I can go to? And God spoke to me and He said, well, you be a friend, you be the one that give what you want in your life. And that is what I started doing. And I was able to see how God just surrounded me with people that were good friendships and surrounded me with the things that I wanted. So I've learned that if you want something in life, just do what you want. You know, if you want something from someone, you give it first. You know, same thing, apologize first if you want somebody to apologize to you. Or, you know, if you want something given to you, you do it first. And I've learned that, and I think that if when you become unfocused of your wants and needs and you start focusing on others, I think that a lot of good things happen around you.
Yeah.
So also I wanted to talk about let go of trying to control. When you let go, God takes control, which is kind of what I was saying. You know, a lot of times we want to be so in control. I think especially in this quarantine, I think that we have all learned to just trust God. And I think that a lot of us were very like so wanting to control everything before this whole quarantine. And I think that God has shown us, like, if you just let go, if you trust me, like, I'm going to take care of you. And he has. Like, we're all alive. We're all surviving. I know there's some people that have suffered illness and have lost family members and have lost their lives. And it's very hard. But I'm saying, like, for those who, you know, who have trusted God, I know God has been taking care of you, and God has been taking care of me, and whatever happens, like, God is in control. And if you just remember that, like, you're not so worried when things are out of your control. And I wanted to give an example. When I was about 15 years old, there was a point in my life where I couldn't really stand myself. I was doing horrible in school. I was getting suspended, expelled, everything. I didn't know what to do with myself because I was just unhappy because I really didn't want to be here at the time. We had moved from California to here. But I was unhappy with what was happening. You know, I didn't want to be here. And church was very different back then. It was not a joyful experience for me back then. Now it is, but before it wasn't. So as much as it is now. So one day I just went up to the altar and I told God, look, I don't know what to do with myself. So I just give you control. I give you, what do you want to do with me? I just give all of me. I don't know what to do with me. I just give you everything because I don't know what to do with myself. And that was the point that I was able to see where God started working in my life. He started changing things. He started creating things out of nothing because I had no legit plans for me. I didn't have anything, something firm in my mind of what I had planned for the future. And God started working and started putting the pieces because I gave him that control in my life. And, he led me to music and everything that I do now. And it's something that I love. And I think that when you do that, when you let go of what you want, he comes and he makes it 10 times better because he shows you, like, because you trusted me, I'm going to make it 10 times better. And so that's what I feel God has done in my life. And then also Jonah, chapter 1, verse 4 to 5. If we go there, it says, but the Lord made a strong wind blow. This is when Jonah was in the boat and, he was running away from God. And such a bad storm came up that the ship was about to be broken in pieces. The sailors were frightened and they all started praying to their gods, and they even threw the ship's cargo overboard to make the ship lighter. All this time, Jonah was down below deck and sound asleep. So this verse, I can see how Jonah was trying to basically avoid reality by going to sleep. Because the reality of the situation was that he was running away from God's will. And so I think that a lot of us do that. A lot of times we can try to avoid, oh, God didn't tell me that. I don't think that was God. That doesn't sound like it. Or, we try to block that we know we need to do because God is telling us to do it. And I think that can just worsen the situation of what we're going through maybe, or what's happening around us. And so that's what happened with Jonah. The situation got worse. And the thing is that he dragged other people down with him in the boat because of his disobedience. So a lot of times we can drag people down when we make decisions and we don't realize that. And I think that we need to, I think if we would if we would think less of ourselves when we make decisions and more of others, I think that our decisions would be more positive in life. And I've learned that, just like Jonah, if he would have thought instead of himself, and he would have thought of the people of Nineveh and people in the boat, maybe he wouldn't be in that situation, and he wouldn't have dragged those people down with him in that situation. So yeah, that I could see that in that verse. And also in Jonah 1 verse 12, Jonah told them, throw me into the sea and it will calm down. I'm the cause of this terrible storm. We know when we are going against the will of God. We know it in our hearts. And if we're not careful, we can unintentionally drag others, which is what I just mentioned. And that's why we need to always analyze it. If I say yes to this, is this going to affect others positively or not? If I say no to this, is this going to affect others positively or not? And I think that Jonah right there, he was trying to blind himself of what God was telling him to do. And then Jonah 3:10 says, when God saw that the people had stopped doing evil things, he had pity and did not destroy them as he had planned. So God had planned to destroy them, but he didn't at the end of the day. When you let go of your will to do what God is telling you to do, you realize that doing what God is telling you to do is bigger than you. Mm-hmm. So he right there, Jonah, he let go of his will, and he, after he was in the fish for a couple of days, he realized his mistake and he went to go do what God was telling him. But we were able to see that by him doing that, he was able to save those people. God changed his mind. He didn't destroy them, even though he said he was going to destroy them. And so I think that, like I said, when you listen to God, it's bigger than you. It's not about you. I think that when God tells you something, it's like when he sent Jesus to the cross. It was his only son, but it was bigger than just Jesus. God wanted to save all of us. And so I think that when God tells you to do something, you just need to listen, even though it's hard for you, because it's bigger than you, and it can create a bigger impact than what you can imagine. So the last thing I wanted to go over is let go of your pride and ego. And I think that Jonah had a little bit of pride and ego, because it says here, Jonah was really upset and angry, so he prayed, "Oh Lord, I knew from the very beginning that you wouldn't destroy Nineveh. That's why I left my own country and headed for Spain. You are a kind and merciful God, and you are very patient. You are always show love, and you don't like to punish anyone. Now let me die. I'd better be off dead." So he was like, I knew you were going to change your mind. I knew I was going to look bad. I knew that what I said was not going to happen because you're too good and you're loving. So why did you even send me here? Like he wanted to look good. He wanted what he had prophesied to become true, because then he would have looked good, and then would have applauded him because of the truth that it actually happened. And, I think that a lot of times God works with our pride and our ego. And I think this was a lot of working with Jonah's pride and ego, because it's not about him. It was not about him. It was about saving those people. And I think that when God speaks to us, he really works with us. He works with our pride, with our ego, and he just makes sure that is not there. When we let him work with us, of course, he makes sure to lessen our pride and our ego, so we can go ahead and, be something, a vessel that he can use fully. So I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes all together with like letting go in different areas of our life. So let's say you might not have pride and ego, let's say, but you still you struggle in the area of letting go of control. So it's like, for example, like you said, in your teenage years, you had struggle with letting go of the control. And I feel like we all have a bit of struggle with that, because Jonah, in this situation, I really liked how you said that when God speaks to you, well, the plan that God has for you is much bigger than you are. And it's not only about losing yourself in the process, because it even says in Jeremiah that his plans for us are of good and not of evil. So it's not like those plans are, for example, going to consume who we are, but we are going to become that person that God wants us to be, and we're going to become that better person that He wants us to be, because we might have dreams, but our dreams are like this compared to God's big dreams. And even like letting go of pride and ego, I see when He says sorry in Jonah 4:1-3, it's like He says sorry in His own way, because He's like, I knew from the beginning that you weren't going to do this, this, and this. And sometimes we are like that too. So it's like, I could hurt your feelings, but I'm like, Patty, I knew from the beginning that this and this and this, but I still did it either way. So it's like, we have to let go of that and really say like, I'm actually letting go of this. I'm not justifying my actions, because that's what I feel like that's what He was doing there. Like, I already knew. And then He's like, I already knew that you weren't going to destroy them, so that's why I went ahead and do it. So it's like me saying, I already knew you were still going to be my friend, so that's why I went ahead and said what I said. But it's like letting go of our own desires, and for example, with the example that I give, putting your feelings into account too. So I feel like this point is really good. I really like the let go of control one, because I feel like, me personally, that's one that God has constantly, been working with me and everything, because we like to have plans of our own, but He has better plans, and that's, I think, what we have to wrap our minds around, because life happens, but sometimes life happens in a good way, because He had better plans for us than what we actually had.
That's true. And actually, when you were saying that what came to my mind was also friendships. I think that we can a lot of times not open the doors to a friendship because we know maybe they're gonna hurt us, or we know they're this type of person.
Exactly.
And those types of persons sometimes don't match with our personality or whatever. But God is telling you, maybe open that friendship door to that person, and you don't want to listen to it. And so I think that a lot of times it's just a matter of listening to what God is telling you to do. Again, what God is telling you to do. And just, I think that even though you might know the result of something, God likes to teach us sometimes things throughout the process. So sometimes that can be a way of God showing you to be a stronger person, or somebody that's not defined by what other people do to you, or something like that. So I think that it's very important to just listen to what God is telling you to do. I think that it helps you avoid a lot of being in the fish like Jonah. It takes you, it helps you just avoid those types of situations, because a lot of times when we get in messy situations, we're like, why, God, why does this happen to me? And sometimes it's not even God in the mix. It's just us making the mistakes. Like, we just have to analyze. A lot of times when we ask, why, God, why is this happening to me? We need to analyze what maybe we did wrong. And that's where it is hard, because we have to look at ourselves and we have to be like, what did I do wrong? Like, oh, I did that. And then we feel like it's very vulnerable to look at yourself and try to see where you made the mistake. And so,
and I think that's really true, because I think it's like, there are some storms that God created for you to learn throughout the process. Like, maybe you're going through a storm right now in any part of your life, and God wants you to trust Him and wants you to show Him. Wants you to learn to trust Him. But there are other storms that we create for ourselves. So we have to, like everything has its consequences, but God obviously doesn't punish. But we still do have to take our consequences. And, He, as a loving Father, He disciplines as well. He disciplines us, and the word says that He disciplines us just like a father disciplines his children, because He loves us and He wants us to keep on learning, because He knows He has so much more for us. So, definitely, I really like that. You have two different storms, and you have to always analyze, well, one, what do you want to teach me in the storm? And two, did I create the storm? Could I have done it differently, or could I have done things differently or in another way?
That's true. That is true. And so, yeah, we just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about that. I think that even this table talks is something that God put in your heart, and then God spoke to me about it too, to go ahead and do this. And it's something that definitely takes a lot of work to do this type of thing, but I think that like we've been saying, listening to God is worth it, because I know God is doing something out of this table talks, and I know that there's something that God wants to do, and I think that listening to him is just so worth it, and if you're out there and you're debating on listening to what something God is telling you to do, just do it. It's just worth it, like it's not that bad. Sometimes we think that listening to God is going to be like so bad and it's going to be so painful or so hard, and then when you do it, you're like, oh my God, it wasn't that bad. So,
or the reward is so much greater.
Yes. So yeah, we just want to finish off with that, and we really hope you guys enjoyed this table talks of letting go, and we hope that it is a blessing to you guys. And our next one will be
June 1st,
so the beginning of June. So we hope you guys tune in again, and if this was a blessing to you, make sure you share it. And I'll be uploading it on my YouTube channel for those who were not able to connect. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.